Well, hi, everybody. Thanks for tuning in here. Allen Bestwick, pleased to be here on behalf of the Kulwicki Driver Development Program, who's just released its first segment standings as they look to continue now in the 10th season, helping out aspiring racers who emulate and honor the late 1992 NASCAR champion, Alan Kulwicki. It is a pleasure as a native New Englander to again visit with one of the finalists for this year's award. Second year in a row, he's been one of the 10 finalists, and he's from my neck of the woods, from Dartmouth, Massachusetts. Derek Gluchacki, currently second now in the first segment standings after finishing second in the final honors a year ago. Derek, thanks for taking time for this. How you doing?
Good, Alan. Thanks for having me on. Pleasure talking to you as always.
Always a pleasure. Now, I'll ask you first, your racing season so far, from what a lot of folks up around home tell me, Mother Nature's been the big winner in the racing season to this point. Have you had a lot of rainouts, and are you getting a chance to run as much as you were hoping?
Yeah, no, we've definitely lost, I think, about three of my races so far this year between scheduling conflicts with races getting moved and stuff, and one race actually being scheduled back to October now. So,
Ooh.
we only raced, I think, five times for this, the first term here. So, didn't get as many races in as we hoped for, but, we were able to capitalize at Loudon with our wild card race, finishing third. And ever since then, honestly, it's been pretty rough for us. Got caught up in other people's messes here. So, looking to turn the season around here for sure.
Let's talk about going forward after that race up in New Hampshire, because you and your team have kind of been through a little bit of a transition that makes a lot of headlines when it happens, like at the cup level, for example. What's going on?
Yeah, no. So, one of my best friends has actually gone down south to work for Donnie Wilson Motorsports. He was pretty much like my right hand guy. So it's awesome to see him get the opportunity, but it's definitely been a lot more has been pushed on my plate now at the racetrack. I buy my own tires, size them myself now, and all that. So, pretty much running everything now myself, and with obviously help from my limited crew that we have that comes. But a lot more is on me, so it's been an adjustment to say the least. But we're handling it and getting better every race.
There you go. Now, for folks that maybe don't follow you from week to week, your primary circuit is the American Canadian Tour, the ACT Series, right?
Yes.
And you spend a lot of time at a very, very big variety of types of racetracks. Biggest track, smallest track, longest tow. Throw a couple things out there that describe the racing circuit that you follow.
Yeah, I mean, we go up to New Hampshire Motor Speedway, the big 1 mile where NASCAR goes. So that's pretty awesome. But we go back to the short tracks. Thunder Road. A lot of people have heard of that. Have heard of that place up in Vermont, the Milk Bowl, the cow races. Some people say, but
Yeah.
yeah, we travel all over the country. We go to Canada three times, up and down the Northeast. So it's a heavy schedule. This is probably the heaviest part of the schedule of the year. We go to Canada three times this month. So it's gonna be a lot of traveling, but we're ready for it.
Now, with everything you just talked about, buying your own tires and all the things you have to do, you work a full-time job, then you go work on your race car, the whole thing. Going to race in Canada, things people wouldn't understand, crossing the border with a race car in tow. Some of the things that are involved in that are pretty complicated, aren't they?
Yeah, it's not the easiest thing. Sometimes they want an itemized list of everything in the trailer. What you're going to leave in Canada, what you're going to bring back to the United States, and you never say you're going to win anything, or else they'll tax you on that and stuff like that. But yeah, it's definitely complicated. It adds a whole nother aspect to it that like you said, a lot of people wouldn't think of.
Yeah, I remember one time when NASCAR took the what's now the Xfinity series up there, and one of the teams telling me they literally had to inventory every nut, bolt, and washer on the transporter and have that as part of that manifest in order to cross the border. What are you going to leave in Canada? Well, that depends. If we have a crash, we might leave the front clip of this race car. Who knows? So anything's possible. Tell me a little bit about your charitable efforts, because that's a part of the Kulwicki Driver Development Program and the scholarships that go with it. Your charities for this year and who and how you're supporting.
Yeah, we've actually been able to do a lot so far this year, even with all the rainouts that we've had. Our big charity this year is the Make-A-Wish Foundation, primarily with New Hampshire because that's where we race the most. But the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and then we're going to do some other work with RICAN, a local nonprofit around us. But yeah, we've done three or four different booths at some different racetracks, raised a lot of money, spread a lot of awareness. It's been really awesome. Everyone really loves the Make-A-Wish stuff. Everyone loves kids, so really good connection with a lot of families and stuff through that. We were able to do some 50-50 raffles throughout the pits and in the grandstand. So it was really cool to walk around the pits and all our fellow drivers, competitors, contributing and happy to support us. That was really awesome.
Yeah, that's fun. That's part of the racing culture too, right? We're all help each other out in here. Then we'll go out on the racetrack and try and beat each other's brains out.
That's right.
Yeah, that's a lot of fun. Mentoring is a part of this Kulwicki driver development program as well. And I mentioned being from New England and your neck of the woods. One of the former crew members for Allen Kulwicki is also from our neck of the woods, Stafford Springs, Connecticut, pretty famous racing address. Peter Jellin is someone you're working with as a bit of a mentor this year. Peter Rabbit, a lot of folks know him by because he was the transporter driver for the Kulwicki team for a long time. Tell me about Peter and things that you might talk about as he tries to help you.
Yeah, he's been really awesome. You know, he still drives trucks for teams and stuff like that. So he's been talking a lot about the logistics side of things. So that's been really cool to see, just, you know, on the big scale level of how they do stuff and everything like that. And, you know, his duties at the racetrack of, you know, keeping the truck organized, keeping it clean, and just all that kind of aspect and stuff. And, you know, of course, the Allen stories of traveling with them and all that kind of stuff. It's been really awesome to hear about and learn from. So really, really glad that everyone at the Kulwicki Driving Program added that whole aspect of mentors this year. It's really been awesome.
And not only mentoring you, but you mentoring other people. You get asked for help and guidance by some of the people maybe at a rung below you in the racing level to try and help. What's the most common thing they might ask you?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this year I actually started up my own little setup business. I'm setting up other people's, you know, late models and race cars, legend cars, everything like that. So that's been really cool to see. We've worked with primarily two people right now, Nicholas Scola and Sean Gluchacki down at Waterford, and Nick at Thompson. We're actually up there yesterday, finished second with him. So that was really awesome. But just learning all the different driving styles and what they like in a race car versus what I might like has just really opened my eyes to a lot of different things and setup changes that they like versus what I like. I've learned a lot, and it's been really gratifying to be able to teach them something too.
I was gonna say make you think about, that's interesting. Why, and make you think about how it applies to your racing as well.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's fascinating. So one of the questions that are being asked of all of the people being interviewed this week about this is, if you had a chance to ask Allen Kulwicki a question, and I know you got tipped off to this just before we started, but that's only been a few minutes ago. If you had a chance to meet Allen and ask him a question, what might you talk to him about?
That's a tough one. There's so many questions that you would want to ask, and I mean, it's just like like on the days that you had the rough days, what was it like going back home and as your small team and just your group of guys, against the Hendrick Motorsports, the big teams of that time? What was it like having the rough day, being the little guy versus, seeing all the great teams having good days and stuff like that? So I'd be really interested to see his mindset and how he kept everything, organized and straight with that stuff.
Knowing Allen, probably before you even got to ask that question, he'd start asking you about your race car and your setup and, okay, what's your right rear spring and what do you do, those kind of things. And you guys would get probably pretty deep into a setup sheet before you even knew what was going on. He was like that a lot. So where can folks see you race in the coming week or weeks?
Yeah, so we're actually with the ACT Tour here. Unfortunately, we're going to have to miss this race in Canada. We got wrecked the past 2 weeks. So we got 2 wrecked race cars in the garage. So unfortunately, we need time to fix them. So, but after that, next Wednesday, we'll be at Seacon Speedway with the ACT Tour. And then after that, we're just going to follow the American Canadian Tour schedule from there. I know we have an off week, and then we're right back to it up in Canada again. So a lot of traveling, like I said already, but we're ready for it and ready to kick off the second half of the year.
And getting the phone call from the committee that you're second after the first segment voting for this year's Kulwicki Driver Development Prize. Tell me your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. I think we've done really well off the racetrack with our charity stuff and everything like that. I think if we could just turn our year around on the racetrack, maybe find some luck here, I think we'll be really be a contender here in the second half.
Yeah, it's not long before there's a trophy in your future, I'm sure. And it won't have anything to do with a lack of effort if there isn't one. Derek, congratulations. Thanks for this. Appreciate it. We'll follow with interest as you go throughout the summer and hope to run across you at the racetrack very soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Alan. I appreciate it.
Derek Gluchacki, currently second in the Kulwicki Driver Development standings after the first segment voting by the committee. Catch him on the American Canadian Tour as he works throughout this summer and hopefully comes up with a trophy or two very soon.